Welcome back, guys. We're into our last set of the day, SSG versus Renegades. Two previously very explosive sets. First, we just saw NIP versus Kanga. Then we ended up seeing it in the very beginning with VP. I mean, they just looked extremely well. Everyone has so far, but I'm excited to get into this third set with my buddy Kresnik.
Yeah, always happy to watch. This is such a tough matchup for me to watch because, I mean, as I was the coach
Right, yeah.
for SSG, I've been friends with a lot of the guys on Renegades for so long. So either I'm always losing or I'm always winning, and I prefer at least someone I'm happy with is always taking it. But I mean, last time we saw these guys match up, it was RNG that walked away with a victory, kind of catching SSG as soon as they got here. But SSG's grown a lot since then. We'll have to see kind of what's changed. We know they've gotten a grasp on the meta. We know that some of their players have had explosive growth. Can Renegades handle that?
Right. And that's the question to look at is the fact of can Renegades handle the pressure it is that SSG will be able to output today because of the fact that they've been doing well. I mean, they've dropped a place, but at the same time, they're still doing their thing, man. I mean, they haven't practiced for a while. Really, the only practice it is they've been able to get is towards the end of the split, but they've still been explosive, and it's a matter of Renegades can try and combat the pressure it is that they'll be able to exude.
Also, SSG's consistency, too. I mean, we saw them get reverse swept by Knights after they had some pretty good sets against teams like NIP, teams like Envy. And talking about the sets that we saw before, I think Arius has had so much growth as a player in this phase since all he needed was the team house.
Right.
And here he is. I mean, people have been critiquing him forever, but I got to say, I think he was the player of the week that he played. I think having phenomenal performances on almost all the maps, really finding that line that you have to toe as a backline, and I feel like that's something that he was kind of missing for so long. Finally achieving that while still having the aim that he's had all this time. Definitely fantastic performances by him lately.
For sure. I mean, him being able to pop off, if you have that combined, all of SSG with their firing on all cylinders, you got yourselves a match. I mean, you have an extremely terrifying team that you have to deal with. And I believe on the flip side of that, I mean, we also have like the Renegades as well. I mean, they're at the bottom of the seed. I mean, just being honest here, like they're at the very bottom of the seed, but they're still good players. A lot of them still pull out their best work whenever it is they're playing.
I was just laughing at you saying you're being honest about them being 8th seed. Like, that's just a fact.
They are
8th seed. But they've had so many decent performances, I think, over time that it's so hard to see them have the record that they've had, because I feel like they've put up rounds. They've put up all this throughout the year. We have all these players that you think would be able to have these explosive rounds, but something has just not been clicking. We had that one week where it looked fantastic after that long break between the phases. They had that amazing first week. They've gotten one win since then against the team they're playing now. I don't know. It's so tough to say what the problem with this team is, but I'd say some of the highlights, the DPS is Invocal, Shadow, someone who's shown a lot of flexibility since coming in originally at the start of this phase, kind of last minute to replace Loki.
Yeah, they are both such good teams. I mean, Shadow, I mean, you have him and Invocal, and even when I'm on cast talking about it, you have the two of them paired together, and whenever they can peel for each other, whenever they're both feeling that momentum, you can tell, because it is hard for one of them to even get taken out because the other one's able to follow up so heavily, right? But Shadow, a very good player in his own right. He's really good. He can play these blasters, and you see it right here on Frog Hour Willow. I mean, these Renegades players are good. I mean, it's just a matter of them trying to find what worked for them in the very beginning of the split.
I remember hearing that. I think what they need to do is just have fun with it now, not necessarily give games away, but maybe forcing themselves into these drafts that they think are what they need to be pulling out, right? Like this is the draft that we need. Maybe just experimenting a little more in matches, playing a little more loose could be something that helps them, you know, trying different DPSs, different tanks, different supports. Viral, somebody that has kind of played all over the place in terms of, I think he's played a little bit of every support. I don't know one that he's not proficient with. And I think in general, he's one of the later additions to the scene. A lot of our supports are kind of part of the old guard.
Right.
I mean, you look at Cuss, Spunky, Gera, they've been around for Bird. They've been around forever. Viral came in around the time I came into this scene, which is late comparative to them, and he's still learned and mastered all these supports so quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, you always see him. I mean, like, well, I can't say always, but there are a lot of times where Renegades have been playing, and we're looking at the slash lines. Oh, this one isn't that great. This one isn't that great. You know, they have next game to really just perk up. But then you look at Virals, and Virals is literally, it's either Undying or he like died like 2 times, like throughout the game. Like he has such a good mind for positioning, being able to understand what fights his team can take, and being able to back off immediately. I remember that. Yeah,
I forgot about all these shenanigans here.
What do you mean shenanigans? He got a quadra, dude.
He got a single kill that the game decided to go quadra kill. Well, actually didn't because it was a little bit too delayed, but still, a silly thing. Fury has definitely been a big performer too.
Yeah.
For Renegades, the Inflame letting their DPSs pop off even harder than they were before. And also, they're not a team that, in the support role also, that are afraid to innovate. I mean, they were running Grover a lot when he wasn't really being seen too much on all sorts of different maps that he wasn't being seen on. So a team that's not afraid to innovate but hasn't been innovating lately. I really want to see that coming from them.
Yeah, I mean, we have to see where they won't be going, though, in terms of the maps. It'll be Waters Gate, Frozen Guard. Both of them are out of the picture. Follow that up with a good old Frog Isle and a Split Stone Quarry, and you got your 4 map bans already there. What's up?
I'm surprised SSG banned Splitstone.
Oh, really?
I think they like that map. Or I thought they did, but apparently they hate Renegades having it even more. Starting on Ice Mines, though, which is Renegades' pick, not too surprising. This was kind of their phase 1 when they were losing every game. It would be the first map pick, and they would lose it. The second map pick, they would lose it, and then we'd go to Ice Mines.
Right.
Map 3 almost every single time. I'm pretty sure that was the status quo for the entirety of their games.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Willow and Makoa, Strix, my goodness, the bans are just flying through. They already know what they want to get rid of, and what they have gotten rid of so far. It's been Makoa, it's been Atlas, Strix, and Willow are going to be the 4 characters that will not be participating in the Ice Mines battle. And Khan is going to be the first lock in for the Renegades.
So this, to me, kind of confirms that they're going to be kind of sticking to their guns. Again, this is the standard bans. It's the first pick Renegades did almost every time last week. Not expecting too many crazy things from them. I'd love to see. I expect a Genos to have that dismount potential. We have Barrick and Ying on the other side for SSG. Ying for the dismount also, and Barrick just one of the best, if not the best point tank. He's very close to Inara, but Barrick's just a lot more flexible. And the Inara coming out here too for Renegades, if they do lock both of these picks in, kind of worries me, because that means they might not be going Genos, and that's going to really limit their potential to be aggressive on mid.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Eevee, you have the Inara to be able to pick those other couple of characters. You've got Barrick Ying, which has endless sustainability. You've got Eevee with her movement and being able to really just attack the back line, just dive in, dive out. She can be such a threat when she is left unchecked. Inara and Khan together will be able to have a lot of healing and also be able to have a lot of sustainability, not just with the shielding, but you got Battle Shout for the immunity. You got the Earthen Guard as well present on RNG side.
And we'll see how SSG want to follow this up. Still a lot of blasters open. A little dab from Sadak, keeping the haters at bay. Probably a blaster of some kind here, I would say. Maybe they could actually save it for last pick, because Eevee is clearly going to Shadow and Vocal.
Right.
Probably could play Eevee, but will we see him now? Most likely not. They could actually do their direct to keep that up, but Drogos instead, and Terminus, something we've seen a lot from them. That means probably Sadak, Barrick, with Rochelle on Terminus. Terminus trades very well into Inara on the point, and Barrick's able to lock them down kind of on that outer stage area, and locking them down will keep them off of their Drogos, letting him get away with murder back there in the back line.
I mean, you have the Pip hover, though, and that's something I definitely... I mean, if I were them, I would be worried about entirely, purely because of the fact that you have that Evo Mojo being able to really just pressure them in more ways than one. You've got the Genos as well, or at least the potential of having a Genos. You do have it, and you've also got, I mean, you've got 2 sources of healing. I mean, Pip isn't really a dedicated healer. He's probably going to go like Catalyst or like Explosive Flash. The one for Explosive
He still
Flash.
heals.
Yeah, but he still heals, exactly, right. So he's going to still be able to keep everybody juiced up as well as the Genos. I mean, they've got the sustainability on their side. I like RNG's comp a lot, actually.
I would love RNG's comp if it wasn't RNG playing it. And I'm not saying that because of their record. I'm saying it because who's playing what on the DPSs?
Yeah.
Shadow can't play both, and I don't know Invocal's Pip. I'm sure he has a pocket there, but I don't know about Invocal's Pip or Invocal's Eevee. It's going to be kind of weird seeing that come out. A good pick actually could have been Grok into what they have. We know that SSG might want to be a little bit stalwart. Tempest would help them break that. Also, Barrick and Ying bouncing off of those deployables, having those free things to hit and go off of could be something else, but go with the Pip instead. Going to have to see some kind of flex coming out for Invocal one way or the other. And SSG managed to close out with a Cassie, which is going to be really impactful. I think that big game is going to do a lot to help that Terminus win that point fight matchup.
I agree with that too. I mean, it can be sort of difficult for Inara to try and fight back against that Terminus as well. I mean, you pair that with a Cassie, you've got big game. You've got a lot of things that are up on the line here. I mean, RNG versus SSG. This is going to be an interesting game one. We're starting off on Ice Mines, but of course you got to pass it down to the casters to take us into the action.
Right you are, gentlemen, and what an important matchup it is for both of these teams. We're getting down to the point here, Nick, where after this one you might have 1, 2, or no games left. You know, these could be your last looks at a lot of these teams. For the Renegades, their spot's been decided for a pretty long time. It's all about just finding something, getting some wind at your back, getting momentum. You know, a big win over SSG, a team that they've lost to in 7 games before. You know, could make all the difference when the qualifier week looms around the corner.
I think if I'm Renegades, I want to get to at least the spot that Kanga are at right now. I feel like Kanga, that when they get those drafts that make a lot of sense and are very cohesive, they look like a solid-ass team. And as long as you have a win condition, right? You have this comp or the style of game that when you get it and you can play it, man, you look good. If the Renegades get to that point, I think that's a good goal for them, right? You don't want to reach too high at this point in the season. They had a terrible phase 1,
Agreed.
Rough phase 2 as well. It didn't get much better for them. And just kind of more of the same through the end of it. Who's playing what was the question on the desk. The answer is Invocal will be playing Pip. Shadow will be piloting Eevee.
You know, I think I would have been confident with Shadow on either of them. You could have said Shadow Pip, Shadow Eevee, and I would have been fine. But I think Invocal makes sense on Pip to me. I think he absolutely at a high level could play an Eevee just because he's naturally that good at the game. But I think Pip maybe just a little bit more in his wheelhouse, a little more surrounding the auto attacks, a little less on the flick mobility, quick shots. Nothing else. They've done a good job of zoning up to this point in this game at 30% on the payload. And the quietest first blood you'll ever see, a wall and a blocked off Rochelle. Hero and Moonchopper, the frontliners for the Renegades, swing first.
Look at this, Inara falling lower and lower. She's going to eat that fire spit. This is going to be a problem for SSG early on, no doubt. The sustain from, frankly, almost 3 supports. When you factor in Khan, being able to battle shout up a couple of characters, huge healing potions coming through, especially if that hits an Inara who's earthen guarding, that is a massive, massive burst heal, something Genos just can't bring. Nothing really fancy from the Renegades early on. I think that's because it's just sustain that wins the game. First ultimate's no good from Freeze.
Hero baits him in, throws up the wall, and gets him killed through time and space. Gets the assist for Invocal, then connect, but that's just some healing assist there. And one more time, the Renegades starting to run through SSG. Up goes Shatterfall, but Void Grip sees to it that it does not come down. In 2-fight fashion, the Renegades are going to take point number 1.
The overtime, just a formality here. Not a lot needed from the Renegades either to win that. Granted, SSG didn't exactly throw a ton out either, just that missed Dragon Punch.
Overall, that was quiet, I feel like.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. 4-0 from Moonchopper. No overpower either. Not a lot of damage, but managed to get to the back at important times to grab these kills. I just saw a Void Grip interact with the Shatterfall as well. That's going to be a pain in Rochelle's ass, I think, all game. It's so annoying to get the Shatterfall just right and then have it cut off at the last second by an instant auto-aim ability. Could be a little bit frustrating, so Rochelle's got to be careful when he goes in.
Yeah, it's one of the kind of counters, not commonly brought up, but one that we've seen come out to play here. Dragon Punch from Freeze got good this time. Vocal keeps his team in it on the backside here. A bit of a 3 for 3, so not too heavily one way or the other. Renegades still have some good ultimates to work with here. SSG, not much. The conversation surrounding the Reanimate is always one, particularly on Ice Mines, because this is normally where we see a Terminus. Such a slow charging ultimate, you got to be sure you're using it at the right time.
And the Renegades grabbed Pip so early on, it makes me feel as though they were predicting the Terminus.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's a highly telegraphed Reanimate ultimate, so it's easy to kind of play Evil Mojo around that if that's the way you want to go, and then insta-give him immediately after. We've seen something similar with Dragon Punch, but you can always use Reanimate to flip the script on that as well. If he Evil Mojos, gets that kill, Terminus could just immediately come back to life. Which way does that go will probably dictate the fight. Reanimate is such a huge cooldown, arguably the biggest cooldown in the game. The second life, the only thing really of its kind.
And, you know, normally it's the Dragon Punch kind of into the Reanimate. We're not going to see that this time. They're both on the same team. Another Evil Mojo, second from this push, and Vocal just needed one more shot around that corner to confirm the kill. But it goes missing. Quickly charging, though, is the Evil Mojo. Won't be too worried about that one going by the wayside, but SSG keep this defense stalwart with the kill onto Vyro, and they're going to push out, zone a little bit extra.
Salvo primed and loose. A lot of damage in the back line here. Potential for some big boy fire spits. That one narrowly off the mark. Only catches one. Another one will only catch Inara. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 goes the clock. But the first kills are going the way of SSG. First, second.
Oh no,
my,
Aries.
Third. My goodness. Aries finding 3. And Dave, I think that just about does it.
Yep. All right, that one's over.
Fair enough.
No, nobody else in range after Aries tears through the Renegades. And, you know, I kind of mentioned it once or twice. You look back at that first mid, SSG walked away with just a single kill to start off their defense. But it was quiet and methodical almost. Not this kind of two titans meeting in the middle, this big back and forth fight. They get the kill onto Rochelle, and that's the one and only kill. Sadak, literally seconds after first blood. And there weren't many fireworks, just control from the Renegades.
Slowing it down, making sure you don't give up the 2-0 is big for Space Station, because I feel items are going to win this game for them. Resiliences, cauterizes, and even in Rochelle's case, Bulldozer is going to be very helpful to plow through that Warder's Field that Inara drops in a hopefully futile attempt to slow him down. Support dismounts, huge part of Ice Mine's meta now.
Yeah.
Rochelle looks like he does make it through on his horse. Terminus is headed to the back line, folks.
That's a scout flying high above. Illusory Rift as well. Freeze got looking to connect. Peeled out by through time and space, but he's able to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Right back into Hero. Grabs the kill there. And the bowling ball rolls down this snowy hill for SSG.
Man, it all started with, I guess it all technically starts with the support dismounting as many people as possible, but Rochelle doesn't get dismounted. On Terminus makes it almost all the way to the back line of the Renegades immediately. He goes into the Shatterfall. When he's up in that window, Dave, he's a big problem already. He is forcing the Renegades to make a lot of decisions, fall back, push forward. A lot of space created for that Dragon Punch to just land. And off of that team fight, Space Station just win the point.
That was close. I mean, if there were maybe 5 more seconds on that mid fight, the Renegades actually had some kills tumbling. Good knockback from Freeze God.
What a gentleman. He didn't even let him fall off the map. He blew him out of the sky.
That's right.
To make him, I think, retain a little bit of his dignity. What a wholesome young man.
That's always so important on Ice Mines, kind of jokes aside, but winning the
fight of the mid. What would Pacheco have done in that instance?
Taking the kill, sprayed.
Oh, he's already emoting on the way down, and then he sprays when the ground meets him, and then probably whispers the guy in the lobby. I don't know if you could do.
Yeah, I was curious.
I think they get.
I think you
fined.
can.
I think they're not supposed to. You could, I'm sure, whisper the other players on the enemy team during a PPL game, but I'm pretty sure the admins are looking out for that. And I think it's against the rules technically. Somebody said something about it. I don't know if it's a fine or like a slap on the wrist type of situation, but I wouldn't put it past Fishy.
It is a great point, because obviously it's just the drafting lobby, so I would assume you can, but that's all by the wayside here. It's SSG look to regain control of this push. Aries looking for where that damage was coming from, and it was Shadow, who's now flying away off into the distance. Slowing down on Ice Mines, as so typically happens here. They want to keep things moving. The Renegades do. Moonchopper grabs the Evil Mojo kill. Battle shout from Moonchopper gives him an edge in the battle against Sadak, who's staying aggressive here. Commander's grab sends him to the side. Maybe looking for some damage, but Freeze God is here to help him out.
Ooh, Battle shout perfectly timed, absorbs the brunt of the fire spit impact. The dot still applies and still ticks through, but that's kind of negligible damage. It's like 300 at most. Still, Moonchopper, worse for wear after that engagement. Just been a steady back pedal.
Yep.
Getting himself back in the safety of his team. That's combustible Drogos, baby. So much free damage around corners. Salvo 2.
Hit me with that 6-digit 9.5 minutes into this game.
Yeah,
Freeze
wait, that's
got
actually kind of nuts.
at 9, 3, and 1. It's that like 10K a minute that's like really good, and he's doing it 30 seconds ahead of time. Viral, nice shot onto Ares. Maybe what the Renegades need to hold on to this one. I think a kill onto Rochelle just about seals it. We're tied up one more time.
That's fine. I think the Renegades using a time and space there just to make sure that that one doesn't go through. They catch whether they mean to or not, they catch Terminus without an ultimate as well. Again, huge cooldown, and you're starting to see why. He only used it one time that round, and it's still at the start of the round, and it's still not available, right? This is a very slow charging ultimate, not in terms of just the raw energy you need to get it. You don't get a lot of uptime in these fights as Terminus. It takes you a long time to get out the necessary damage. Okay, so he did spray, all right.
Yeah, here we are commending him.
What a gentleman in a scholar.
He's
making fun of him in Portuguese and spraying the ground 2 seconds later after the spectator cuts away.
We caught it that time, though. 2 separate computers. Couple master ridings in there.
Everybody dismounted.
3 for Renegades. Yeah, lots of dismounts here. Dragon Punch, Dome Shield ready. Scout tossed out. He's got just timing it right. This is kind of where that Drogos plays, around the corner there, just waiting for the right moment to hit those jets. And again, this is kind of another slower mid-fight. Didn't connect on the Evil Mojo this time around, and not going to find any value out of that one, but luckily for the Renegades, Dragon Punch does not connect either.
Oh no, the Fire Spit does. The sustain from Wormhole, the only thing keeping that Eevee up. But Davey, it's a 3 for nothing, 4 for nothing, soon to be maybe a 5 for nothing. Moonchopper brings back at least 1 kill.
Could be a stagger.
To the dinner table, but my goodness, you're right.
Maybe not.
Could turn into a stagger. Disengage, maybe doing a little bit more helping than hurting.
All right, 72% for SSG. This is where things quiet down on Ice Mines when you're this far zoned out and this far ahead on the point. Oh, chance to get in, but enough body block from Rochelle. He's going to use the reanimate. Might catch some damage blocked off by the shield. Moonchopper with a chance to get another kill onto Rochelle, who's actually controlling this space very nicely. This trade's important to keep this payload moving, and Sadak's got a couple as well.
Finally gets him down with the Calamity Buzz. Look at that. You don't often see that. 5 kills in the kill feed. None had even faded out. A very, very bursty, explosive win in that follow-up team fight there from Space Station Gaming. Using a decent amount for it, but hell, that's what Ice Mines is about. It's all about the point fight. If you can get that, you're good to go. Overpowered in now just to slow this momentum. Ares will die from this. But again, that's okay. That's going to happen every now and again. He gets to go home, spend some of these credits. The item situation is starting to turn things in favor of SSG, I feel. All these resiliences coming online. Got a couple of cauterizes reaching that level 3 mark. Of course, all of those master ridings.
Yeah.
Just to kind of match Renegades, as long as Viral stays with or ahead of Space Station Gaming in master riding purchases, he will still always be able to get to that gate first and shoot across the way before they can beat him.
It's the direct damage that you're looking at there, because he is matched with Rochelle at master riding 2. Terminus not that great at dismounting, though. And Vocal waits around the corner, catches out Sadak with the Evil Mojo. Reed's God's able to trade. That's the Dragon Punch, Illusory Rift as well. SSG are looking to hit that gas pedal and make life difficult for the Renegades as they back up into their defensive end.
And that is an Evil Mojo that, again, gets nothing. It's harder and harder as the game goes on. You have to be very, very quick to get those kills. Catching a lot of damage here with the Power Siphon, getting a lot of heals, but ultimately this is a struggle for Terminus to get in there. They just have the sustain to barrel that big boy through.
He's going to drop down right behind the payload. Ying clone up above it. Now we need this first choke point. These side skirmishes, I mean, it's important that Rochelle moves forward. Double kill from Viral one more time onto Ares this time again. All signs are pointing to .7 as Hero gets a couple as well. Viral's been saving the day on these defensive fights.
He really has. That is the same exact spot. 78 and 76% respectively for these ultimates. I don't know if I'm SSG. You brought up the question of sometimes you just let it go. Just a couple of poke shots for fun here, but now instead of dealing with 70 and 74% on this Pip and this Khan ultimate, they're dealing with 92% on Evil Mojo and 85% on the Overpower. So now those are really going to be a factor in the next fight. A small hair to split, but one that I think matters in this case.
It's been this angle twice now for Viral. Actually close. So the shielding may have kept Sadak safe from that through time and space, but just to the right from connecting onto 3 was Viral. Point out, some ultimates missing through time and space. It's been game-changing on defense. Might not be huge on the offense. I mean, if you can get a pick, definitely changes things.
Wow, look at him go.
Dismounts, the name of the game.
Master riding 3, bro.
Gets a couple. Some are actually, I think, 2 able to kind of escape their way through. Evil Mojo connects. Is there any damage to follow up? No, they pop right back up. I think Shadow flew in to try to confirm a kill, but Rashal instead did all of the killing here. Overpowered. Moonchopper's going to trade out his life in exchange for, I assume, was one other. Did nobody...
Oh my God, Aries got back on.
How did he get back on? I'm waiting for the kill to pop up in the feed. I was for sure he flew away. Unbelievable.
I was too. I saw Sadak rotate in to try and body block it, kind of like Lazy did yesterday, but Moonchopper re-angled himself. I'm sure we can catch a replay of that, but Aries stays alive, and it's disaster day for RNG.
Man, disaster strikes the last possible minute. Zone is on. This is all but over. SSG, resilience from the Renegades to get them 3 points in this one, but SSG in some great moments here towards the end grab it 99-0 fashion.
And the celebratory emotes from the support and the point front line come out for SSG. Dismounts were a big factor, but ultimately, the right idea from the Renegades, but just coming up short, right? Double Evil Mojo. Again, resilience. And some of those later game items start to be a really, really big factor. It's so hard for one person to get those kills on the Evil Mojo chickens once resilience comes online. 2 seconds is not a lot of time to burn, but we also are going to take another look at how Aries survived that overpower from Moonchopper. Because it looks, you see Sadak kind of move in, and then he realizes, I don't want to get blocked here. Taking his time, taking his time. Is it just a long lunge? Oh, the perfect angle, baby.
Wow.
Ooh.
The dodge roll to get back on, because the camera angle we were following was like, yeah, he's way gone, and then the kill never popped up, and what a tumble from Aries. May not have been game-changing, but it was definitely cool nonetheless, and that's a good start from SSG, because, that's where Renegades wanted to go. That's a map where you slow things down, grab a win in game 1. They got 3, didn't get the 4. That was SSG. Who grab win number 1 on Ice Mine. See if they can do the follow-up in game number 2 right after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys. SSG able to win that one on Ice Mines. A very, very good set, SSG. This is slowly their return to form. We're going to be able to see them actually sort of adapt and see what it is that they've learned. And I really like the Terminus pick as well into that comp that RNG had.
I mean, Terminus is something that SSG has been using on Ice Mines ever since they started actually playing Ice Mines. I mean, they banned it a lot early in Phase 1, but letting it through now in Phase 2. And I can see why they started letting it through, because they were looking dominant across the board on this map.
Yeah.
Specifically the DPSs, I think. I mean, Ares, we saw that really cool survive he had on the overpower for Moonchopper. Kind of facilitated by the pressure his team was putting on to Moon, not letting him get that railing straight down throw. But, I mean, just look at those damage numbers. FRZ, 106. There's a reason Drogos gets banned or picked super early on this map, and you're seeing it. So much control, so much damage just output by FRZ on that Drogos. You can't ask for anything more from your blaster.
You really can. I mean, 15, 6, and 6. The man's going positive, like just way, way over that, going above and beyond what you would expect to see. I mean, I guess a top-level Drogos will be able to do. I mean, that's a lot of damage still. I mean, those aren't common damage numbers you'd see at all.
Yeah.
Even on Drogos on Ice Mine, even for some of the top players, and FRZ just making it look FRG's on. It's making it look no, it's all right. It's really, really making it look at its peak. This is why Drogos is picked, and you said it. This is why he's picked, and you see the power it is that he can actually have, and that was so sick to be able to hit that fire spit and knock him away, and still he didn't even need to. I mean, Pip was dead.
That follow-up air shot was absolutely not necessary, but that's just the kind of player that FRZ is, right? Why not?
Right.
I can hit it. Why not show them I can hit it? Establish my dominance, and they're going to another map. They're going to their map.
Right.
That was Renegades' pick that SSG managed to take away. Now SSG is going to a much more comfortable place. I mean, not that Ice Mines didn't look uncomfortable for them at all. I think they were actually playing pretty well on this map. They don't normally play, but now they have a lot of comfort here. This is ideal. If you win the other team's pick, you are feeling very good about the follow-up for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're going to have to see where SSG are going to opt to go for this round. See, on map 2, it's going to be Shattered Desert.
SSG versus Renegades Shattered Desert. I'm just getting flashbacks to the triple DPS. I think they tried to play like triple DPS Nando on the other side or something, and the Nando just couldn't get away with the sustain that he needed to. So SSG bringing back a map that has been successful in the past versus the Renegades. Obviously, the same draft won't be coming out on the other side, but SSG are very comfortable, I think, on these maps that lend themselves to a chaotic playstyle.
I agree. I mean, Strixer is going to be gotten rid of for Shattered Desert's map pick. They're already leading with with 1 point. So, I mean, they have plenty of time to be flexible, plenty of time to see what it is they might want to do on Shattered Desert. But if you ban the Strix, you get rid of one of the potential backline. Who can we expect to see, especially from SSG on this map? I mean, we've seen Ruckus before. I mean, even Moonchopper has brought out Ruckus on this map before, and he did extremely well when they were on Shattered Desert. So I guess the question would be, especially if you get that double backline ban, who are SSG trying to look for right now?
Could be an Ash, could be the first pick Ruckus. You take two of the characters that are pretty effective into Ruckus. Ruckus is good into Strix, but you take the better ones and run away with it. If RNG don't pick Leon here too, then SSG will be able to take that away and force them onto a Shaolin or something. And the boys are just having fun over there, and that's what you like to see. I think that's when they're playing their best, when they're really feeling each other, feeling like a family, like a solid unit. SSG is when they play their best. Eric locked in for Renegades, definitely the best point tag for the more open maps.
Right.
What will the companion be? Could be a flanker, could be a backline. A lot of things still up in the air.
Yeah, Ruckus, Barrick, so far. Ruckus for SSG, Barrick for RNG. I'm trying to see what it is they're going to end up picking next for this third pick. It's going to be really interesting. And it's Genos. Barrick Genos, we've seen it before. We've seen it locked in. And it's had a lot of power. It's had a lot of presence behind it. So starting with the Barrick, starting with the Genos, you got your healer, you got your frontliner. That's looking pretty good to me as is.
Yeah, for sure. Genos is also a great healer on this map because he can play very safely. It's so open that your healer might have to go into some unfavorable positions to get pushed. Good look for them. Khan, Maeve potentially also coming in for SSG if they lock these in. Khan Ruckus, very aggressive on this map because it's so open. Khan can constantly confirm his shots. And Maeve can be played by FRZ or Ares. Both of them excellent, I think, on this champion. Maeve also super flexible on this map, able to poke from long range and then dive at a moment's notice. And this is a very mobile, very aggressive comp so far from SSG.
Barrick, Genos, possibly Leon, possibly Ash. You've got your sustainability. You've got your strong point tank. You have 2 off tanks on SSG's side. So that's going to make things a little bit more interesting. Means that they're definitely looking for aggression and looking for a chance to be able to possibly win those side fights and then maybe move their way on the point. I mean, you've got the Leon, you've got the Ash, And I'm just trying to figure out who SSG could potentially like end up locking in. I mean, they still have a DPS and a support as they can end up picking.
Yeah, I mean, could be another flanker. Could just also be Shaolin. I mean, we've seen it on this map before. It is pretty effective. The Ruckus also is actually really good into the Leon, I think. If the Leon doesn't have alignment, Ruckus definitely has a better time fighting Leon than most other backlines. Ash is going to be able to kind of counter the dive pressure, but if SSG just do a super mobile composition that doesn't really care about that, they might not even really mind.
Right.
A Shaolin Io would be an interesting ending for this, but Willow's still open, so it might be an Ares Mave. Possibly an Io. The Luna to be able to capture the objective in the Goddess's Blessing pocket onto Ruckus, Willow, or anybody would be phenomenal, and there it is.
Luna.
They don't have a point tank because they don't need one.
Right.
Luna will sit on the point, mark their territory, and allow SSG to get super aggressive.
That's going to be pretty big. I mean, the IO, not a common pick, but the teams that do have a game plan. And SSG, this draft tells me they have a game plan. They definitely want to have that aggression. They want to not be able to be concerned about the point. They want to be able to, just like you said, sit Luna on a point, just run at him. You've got Barrick, Genos, Leon, Ash. You've got other DPS that you can end up locking it out with. And I guess the question is just who at this point?
Could be Eevee, just to have that mobility, flexibility. Could also be Buck if they don't want to have to pocket their Eevee and keep them alive under some pressure. Buck could be okay into what's on the other side. Maybe, I was about to say maybe like a triple tank thing, but Lex would be interesting, and it's pretty good into the Ruckus. The shield, the emitter won't save Ruckus against the Lex's Law. Law will just execute him through it if he's below that HP threshold, so that could be one option for it. Also, the auto-aim, fantastic into the Maeve, able to get those shots while she's moving around very quickly. Yes, they'll have the damage reduction active during that time, but still any damage adding up will help your team be able to find and finish that kill.
That's true. I mean, whose draft do you like more? I mean, I like the presence that SSG can have on this map on Shatter for sure.
SSG getting this good of an all-in draft on Shatter Desert makes me want to lean with them, but I do like that Lex pick.
Okay.
It's going to be so much pressure, I think, on... we also don't know who's even going to be playing it. I mean,
true.
Leon, Lex, both kind of backliney. It'll probably be No, it'll probably be Invocal. Give Shadow the Leon. Either way, it's a lot of pressure onto Invocal on that Lex. We'll have to see, but I think SSG have the better draft overall.
Well, a lot of pressure that RNG are going to have to deal with. A lot of pressure coming into this game. Now they're down 1-0. Let's toss it down to the casters.
Appreciate it, Fawn. And, you know, the Renegades, they did a good job in Game 1 of dealing with some of the pressure surrounding their enemy team. And fortunately fell short, but kept themselves right in it until the end. Shattered Desert, an interesting map choice, one that has kind of been in and out of favor, Nick. And if nothing else, we got to talk about that Lex.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
He suddenly was getting played all at once, right? And then...
Yeah, he was hot. He was hot for a minute there, man. Everybody was kind of picking him up on, like, Bright Marshes and Jags and stuff like that. And part of it was due to, I think, the damage amp meta, and he's got a pretty decent number to scale off of, right? 680 for a hit scan character. As long as he doesn't have to go up and down too much, it's all good. You look at some of these loadout cards as well. 50% lifesteal. Some wicked high stats for a character that's going to be hitting, you know, 1,100, 1,200 damage headshots back in the day.
Well, it isn't Vocal on the Lex. He's going to be back at base as soon as this game starts. Spacestation Gaming may only need that one kill. They have been on the point since they've reached it. Renegades now.
Or has the Fox been on the point?
Oh, of course. How could I forget? Well, Rochelle's there as well. I'm not wrong.
Holy.
The Fox was there. But a
minute
99-0, minute and a half cap. Although, doesn't the timer start counting with 45 seconds?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's that's a minute capture or something. That is.
You always got to factor that type of stuff in. You start with a pretty decent chunk of time on the clock. Nearly the mathematically fastest possible capture here for Spacestation Gaming on Shattered Desert. Renegades got to get something going here in the first two games. Being down 2-0 does not bode well for you, especially against a team like SSG. Coming into this phase so late, frankly, I give them a lot of credit for coming online a lot faster than I was ready to give them credit for. Yep. Sadok's first interview we did with him when they came back did not give me a lot of positive vibes for his thoughts on the squad, but I think SSG are still one of the top contenders in this league, despite where their standings lie.
I think he said they thought they were like 7th or something. I mean, they were not confident in where they stood, and they did have a bit of a stumble out of the gate, but have Sense had some good wins. One of the couple of kills for the Renegades in this game is Shadow. Sadak into the Hexafire. 1, 2, looking for 3, but it's going to be Midtow. It's going to be 2 for SSG in 3 minutes of game time.
Swiftly done here on Shadow Desert, man. This is very, very rarely seen map, I think, at this point in the phase. It's not really the newest map anymore. It doesn't have that surprise or that wow factor going for it. Every team's been here at least a couple of times. Nobody's really put their foot down and said, this is our map. So it's kind of faded kind of into the background, almost akin to a Bazaar. I think Bazaar still has some of that wow factor left because it is so new. Now you're starting to see maybe NIP make it one of their maps that they want to be able to take teams to and dominate on. Almost a flawless round there for Space Station Gaming. 3 minutes and some change on the clock, the 2-0. We were breaking down for Toli how that 6-minute game works, and this is a good one to point to.
Only limited by the between round time right now. The one and only kill in this game is Shadow on the defense. Wouldn't you guess it, SSG right back to the point. Midnight drapes down from Ares. No kills just yet. I don't know, the Renegades just looking a little disjointed. Through time and space could open a door, but swiftly shut upon a miss.
Where's Doc going?
Fox goes off the point to attack here. A little bit of aggression, 90% and climbing. Finally a dome shield down. The Renegades are going to get themselves onto the point. But being contested by the Fox means no progress.
Oh my goodness, all this healing, all this damage reduction. It's impossible to push into. Nobody can get a kill. Finally, Sadak falls, but Ares almost immediately answers.
Looking for a few more daggers into Viral. Void grip up. Shadow, big triple kill for him. That baby, all the life needs. Quadra kill. And finally, the last member of SSG falls. Sometimes you just need one person to pop off. Shadow did that in spades. Now they're zoning with a chance for their first point.
Don't know if it changes the outcome of the fight there, but Ares gets a little bit greedy with not wanting to use his 9 lives. He wanted to just wait for Pounce to come off cooldown. Definitely ends up costing him his life. Sadak assassinates enemy support immediately.
There's the execute. Kresnik talked about it. The shield's not going to save you there, Sadak. But Invocal might have the only kill for the Renegades. Freeze Ansel's a quadra from Shadow with a double of his own. Ares versus had in there as well. Shadow at 5-3-0, 4 of them in the big mid-fight quadra kill. That's all the Renegades have had going for him here. In theory, still could reach 6. Actually, there's no way uncontested this payload makes it in 20 seconds, right?
No, yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer than that. But even when they lost that fight, you know, when you see 93% in the capture bar, can you really call it a loss at that point? Renegades had the comeback mechanic, they had everything they need. The first thing Sadak does when he gets back is assassinates Viral. I don't know how he found such a clear line to Genos, but it fell into his lap, and of course he doesn't choke those, he takes those, and he made it a very easy comeback fight for SSG.
You know, and I was going to say, you know, the Lex hasn't hit its mark, and it hasn't. But to be fair, nothing for the Renegades has hit its mark this game. I think that Space Station from the start, the fastest mid-caps you can have, and have kept it rolling, even bouncing back from a quadra kill. Says something about them and their own resilience. Sadak kills Invocal yet again. His downtime must be more than his uptime at this point. It's an Enlightenment flying over the shoulder of Rashao, and it connects onto Ares, who's hanging out behind him. But an overpower could keep this going.
And it won't, actually. Shadow takes him down from distance, peels for his teammate.
All Shadow.
Sadak is left up on an island, hexafiring, nothing else to shoot. So he'll go down as well. Shadow keeps it together for the Renegades.
I mean, this is all Shadow all day. The setup from the Renegades is there, but I mean, he has 8 of like 11 kills for the Renegades right now. Space Station Gaming, 40 seconds left to try to push in and take it. Faithlight's going to be the quickest one up, but there is an assert dominance readily available. One more pick is maybe all they need. They maybe caught out Moonchopper into the shoulder bash. Some body blocks from Hero didn't really make a difference. Stun knocks him down. No picks just yet.
Only 20 left to get it done here. 90% on Begone. I would love, there's a lot of space in between conversion and the spawn door. I'd love to see Begone end the game here. It might just be kills, ending the game. How lame would that be, Dave?
Well, it's going to be Moonchopper into the assert dominance. Begone kind of boops him up against the back wall. Actually, a resilient-looking defense here from the Renegades. Freeze God, though, has something to say about it. Rashao is still alive. He's shooting bodies on the ground. It's all up to the respawns. It's all up to Shadow. Rashao and Midtown trying to hold this one in the balance. Shadow dives deep, gets another kill. And it's looking like this one could go waiting, but Sadak dives in. It's all on his back now.
No
Ares is here to
way.
defend. Moonchopper back from base. Can
No
you get
way.
the daggers onto Viral?
No, Dave.
I don't believe it.
No.
Moonchopper's going to be the last to fall down, and
No, Dave.
Nick
Dave, no.
might win this game.
Dave, no. I'm not getting excited. There's no way this goes through. Continue to cast, Dave. You're doing a great job.
No, I...
What do you mean, bro? Oh, my God. Come on. Come on, Renegades. You got to hold that one, brother.
I mean, that was Midtown and Rashao.
Dude, Rashao was alone
against the world.
for a year by himself.
That is brutal.
He was alone for a full calendar year on the objective. The Begone didn't do anything. Hits him into the back wall, but that back wall was safe. It wasn't far enough away from the flag for that Ashe to actually take any damage. I don't know, man. The respawns come flying in. Khan is not a very tanky boy. He doesn't point tank for a reason, Dave. He should not have been able to live as long as he did there.
That's a brutal way to lose. I mean, the outcome of the game may have been the same on the next mid. I don't know. You almost have to laugh.
No way.
I mean, everything is looking good there in those moments, and just at the last minute fall apart. You look at the Lex pick, and again, I hesitate to like magnifying glass on the Lex because everything outside of Shadow just wasn't working for the Renegades. Tough loss there. Not because it was close, because of the way it ended. SSG grab win number 2, game 3, right after this break.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
SSG making it a quick one. 2-0 against the Renegades on Shattered Desert. This was their map pick. So Renegades, they'll be able to pick things, or at least be able to pick the map in Game 3. But I kind of want to see Sadak slash lines, man, because, I mean, when I looked at him one time, it was like he had went undying. I mean, he had died at least one time that I can recall, but I really want to see the slash lines because that's not something typical of Ruckus.
I mean, fantastic performance with the aggressive composition that SSG were able to draft. And, I mean, they were fighting back. Shadow said, I am not losing this game. Fortunately, the other 4 members of Renegades were perfectly content with losing that game with the way that they were playing. I mean, they were putting up a fight for sure, but SSG just overwhelmed them in every way. That final fight, once Shadow went down, the damage coming in from everybody else, I feel like the health bars just weren't even moving. He was such a crucial part of the damage that they were dealing. But look, Invocal dying 10 times, only 5 kills combined between the other 3 members of the team, besides the 2 DPSs. Very tough, but I think the Willow on this map, having such a good performance on such a flat map, I think with a difficult... it's difficult for Willow to line these things up to get a Fae fight off against a Leon and a Lex, but I think he did a fantastic job.
I do too. I mean, I think he remained pretty grounded, and I mean, Shattered, I guess, just was the map to do it. It was this infight right here that just, I mean, man, oh man. It opened up so many opportunities because it was really just FRZ, and it was Rachao, and it was Sadak. They were all super low, and they were just able to provide the pressure, provide the damage that they needed to be able to close that out because it looked like Renegades were going to be able to win it.
Yeah, and I think that the tank pressure too kind of was what opened things up for FRZ. I mean, he was the highlight in terms of the kill feed and all that, but really, Sadak and Rishao just walking in and being untouchable, I think, was a big part of it. Renegades have to change something up. I'm not sure where they're going to want to go to just change the pace of how this set has been going so far.
It'll be Jaguar Falls is where we're going to end up headed. I mean, we haven't seen Bright Marsh yet. We've seen Ice Mountain. We've seen Shadow Desert. Jag is here. So, I mean, you've got a more close quarters map, a lot more fights happening. We're probably going to see a lot more different blasters. Might get rid of Willow in this ban phase, and they do. It's going to be the first ban that's going to be on RNG's side. So they've got some opportunities. They're banning Cassie again. Does that, when you see the Cassie ban, does that tell you specifically Ruckus, or is that just saying that they just want to be able to have shields?
It says that Ruckus is open.
Right.
I think is part of it. And I don't know if Renegades are going to take it early. They're going to take Khan instead. SSG now might just take this, since Renegades already have Khan, and Khan Ruckus, it's all right. I mean, it was just played on Shattered Desert, but to me, that doesn't scream Jaguar Falls. They could take their point tank, they could take something else and just end with Ruckus later. Barrick Genos, fantastic choice to be paired with the Ruckus if they do end up that way. Barrick also, as we know, stalwart point tank, you can see 58% win rate. It was 59 before that last game. Still, fantastically kind of ahead of Inara. Inara's win rate, I think, has dropped sub 40% now. And I think it might just be due in part to the fact that the second pick team is usually the team that's ahead, because loser's pick always picks first. Second pick team tends to be the one. It always almost goes this way, right? Second pick team gets Barrick something else. The first pick team then follows up with something else in Inara, and I think that's kind of why the win rate of Inara has fallen when she is actually still such an impactful
and are unwanted
point.
stranger.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Khan, you got the Bomb King, and you have the Inara to be able to make that. 3 characters on RNG's team, SSG will be looking to make their team number 4 for right now before we end up getting into the last pick as well. But RNG will be able to close it out before them. Like, you got the Leon,
Go ahead.
you got the Ruckus. Once
while
again,
you can.
they like the Ruckus. They're going to give it to Sadak more than likely. He had a very, very good performance last game on Shadow Desert. On the Ruckus this game, he's probably going to take it again. You've got Maeve, and you've got Maldamba to close things out on RNG's roster.
Ooh, that is a lot of CC. That is resilience. I obviously I buy Cauterize first still, but I'm thinking about resilience before Caught on it in some ways. You got Bomb King CC, Inara CC, Midnight, Khan overpowered, does get affected by resilience. Damba, his utility is almost all CC. SSG, once they buy that, it's going to be so tough for Renegades, I think, to find the picks. Renegades can make it work maybe early game, but SSG's comp is kind of early too. I mean, they have this Ruckus Leon dive paired with the Genos. That damage boost might be enough to overwhelm in the beginning of the game. If all this gets locked in, this is basically, I don't know what Renegades can do as the game goes on once resilience has come online for SSG.
Yeah, neither do I, man. I mean, their comp, it does look great, at least decent to me. I mean, they've got the healing.
The picks are fantastic.
Right. But the thing is that same thing was standing out to me when you mentioned it on RNG side, was the resilience.
Yeah.
Literally on SSG side. It's the first time I haven't heard Zen scream when he got picked, but that is who they're going to actually lock down.
I like this not screaming Zen a little better.
So
I'll
do
be
I.
honest.
I mean, everyone else actually having voice lines and then Zen just yelling his lungs out as soon as you actually pick him. But I mean, it's looking good for SSG. I mean, they've got the aggression. They have a competence that I like, but RNG's, I think, I agree with you. It's just too easily counterable by resilience.
Yeah, but that means they can win it early. If they win before resilience comes online, if they have a very dominant start, it can work. That is an early game composition to me. Late game, they have the sustain. That's what they're going to be playing off of, but that just means they're going to have to win mechanical fights and not rely on their ultimates, because basically all of them are going to be moot.
Right, yeah. I mean, we're going to have to see how this is going to end up going. This is it, 2-0 SSG. Game 3 on its way.
Well, if momentum is a thing, SSG have plenty of it. After Shattered Desert 4-0.
I still can't believe that, bro.
The game-ending push was against all odds, but I guess screw the odds in this case, because SSG grabbed the push, grabbed the win, push us down to Jaguar Falls, and agreed with the desk. Ditto to that. You know, you got good individual picks for the Renegades, and it all works together. But once resilience starts to stack a little bit later on for SSG, it's going to be good.
Ain't nothing going to be happening when they press E, but Bomb King, Shadow, Jaguar Falls.
Yeah.
Name a better trio, baby. I think the kid's got it.
I'm really scraping for something here, but nothing's coming.
That's because you can't.
I guess that's true.
Almost Shadow Leon Shattered Falls. Wouldn't have expected that type of performance. Not a real mainstay character for Shadow, but he really kind of popped on it. Bomb King is a mainstay character for Shadow. I want to see him take over the game with it.
Yeah, but Nick, SSG are already at 81%, and
Wait, that's illegal.
two teams have just been poking at each other the entire game. Hero drops down to try to contest, but is met just with damage. The rest of the skirmish is going for SSG as well. When you have a Mave contesting the point, that's probably not a good thing. SSG in 10 seconds slower fashion than Shattered Desert grab point number 1.
Yeah, it's not boding well, Davey boy. Big Yomi connection there. Ares pulling out Xin, too. Let's talk about this for a second, man. Not really seeing this character very often, only on Ice Mines. Alex brought it out on Bright Marsh. Whoa! There's a triple connection there. You can just, the juiciness of that hit marker. I freaking love it. This character, I miss him, man. Love this loadout as well. The speed on Billow, just still trying to get back to that style of being mobile and immune for as long as possible. The duration is capped. You can't modify that with loadouts anymore, but being able to grab this much Billow speeds means Ares will still be able to cover a decent amount of horizontal with it.
Voco a little bit too far forward there. That opens things up for Midtown. Dread Serpent connects, but now you got Ares flanking around the backside into the Billow. A counter, well-timed rotations there from Ares. Cooldowns perfectly used, and it gets him out with his life.
Oh, man. These Yomi swings, these presences, if the Renegades stack up, they are going to be in big, big trouble. Easily to punish there. Freeze guy with the Enlightenment as well. I hope we get just some nice fatty connection here from an Enlightenment or a Yomi or something.
Or both.
Or both. There it is in the back line. What is that? That's an 80-yard assassination from Freeze.
He uses the Enlightenment first, finishes him off. Good old-fashioned way. Ares still there. One more time, the Renegades seem to be crumbling. Have ultimates if you really need it for Space Station Gaming. No chance, though. And in 3 minutes, you're already looking down at a 2-0 if you're RNG.
Quiet end to the first round. And I was asking SSG, just hang in there long enough for these ultimates to not matter, but in fact, it is the Renegades that need to just hang in there.
I guess this will be our first look, right? I mean,
they need to hang in long enough to get a set of ultimates on the line, brother. I mean,
they got some.
A Dread Serpent did get used, right? So they're Viral and Invoker are trying to get to their second ultimate. Heroes, I think, still trying to get to his first seismic crash at this point, only at 94%. Tough first round. For the boys, almost killless. Hero only grabs 1 when it's all said and done. SSG just running away with it.
I mean, SSG now for the second game in a row they've been knocking on the door of 90% on the point before Renegades have even thought about rotating over to it. Hero had to drop down as a last-ditch effort last time. Didn't bode well. Through time and space, maybe being considered by Midtown. Seismic crash down from Hero, gets his first one. And it's a miss. No follow-up. Renegades, for the first time in 2 games, are able to at least put some control on the point. Space Station at 36%. Overpower, wide. That's not going to help you on these mid-fights.
There it is. Ares trying to get in there. Trades out at least 1 for 1. Shadow for Ares. The front line's all standing tall. 57% for SSG. Out comes the Dome Shield, and I think the fight's about to get started.
Through time and space, I still am looking for it. They're grouped up. Midtown knows where they're going to be coming from. The fight finally being taken down to the point. Dread Serpent off to the right-hand side. You know, another ultimate that goes missing. I mean, seismic crash. Dread Serpent at least forced the resilience. Midtown doesn't miss, however. That's support on support violence. Midtown a double kill. Space Station Gaming at 93% already set themselves up.
I kind of want to see. We saw it on camera pretty much. Midtown grabs a third in this fight, by the way. That's a sick read. What did I miss? I felt like I watched the whole thing, but I know he can't see what I can see in the spectator client.
Right.
But it looked like he could just see through the walls, knew exactly where Viral was, and crushed it home. So many ultimates missing. Nothing gets value from the Renegades.
Yeah.
That's cut and dry the problem. Overpower with Dread Serpent, misread, seismic crash. I'm pretty sure didn't hit anyone. if it did, it just got largely blocked off by a barricade, and there was nothing after the fact. King Bomb, what did that do? Really nothing. You draft this incredibly strong CC-oriented lineup. You got to win 4-0, 4-1, at most 4-2 with this.
Right.
You know, if you don't survive the early game, you don't have much of a chance late game.
Yeah, they're not surviving is out of the question here. Finally, some contention in these mid fights. Viral, though, is dead, and I would say that Space Station Gaming are happy about that one. Shadow, an important trade. Sadak takes the aggressive stance. Dashes in, dashes out. Minute and 24 seconds remaining. Mitao, 408. The only above 1 death for SSG is Ares on this Xin.
The damage charts tell the story here, folks. Top 4 is all members of SSG. It's all red before any blue whatsoever. Hero falls. Ares still playing with some wisdom here, not wanting to get
Another missed overpower.
Never missed overpower indeed. It is not looking good for the Renegades.
Dome shield just to block out Moonchopper. Commander's grab, brilliant from Moonchopper, but is it too little, too late? That's the question. Dread Serpent flying out now from Viral. You have to defend here through time and space. No kills for Mitao, but Freeze God looking for the flank payload moving in. Nobody from the Renegades after. Hero's gonna be there, and one more 4-0 is what we're looking at once Moonchopper falls.
Oh man, and fall he shall into the spite. Cherry on top, another 4-0 for SSG.
I don't know, man.
They got dinner plans or something. They are getting in and getting out quick. Swiss cheese in the Renegades on all 3 maps so far. They might just be looking to sweep it up.
I don't know. This is tough. I mean, you look at how contested Ice Mines was, and surprising. We're thinking this one's a toss-up going into the last mid, and from then on, scoreless in any of the last 2 maps for the Renegades. It's just too consistent, too powerful from SSG. The point control, Renegades aren't jumping down there until the point's almost captured. Yeah. Everything working for SSG. We're going to look to finish things off in one more game in just a minute.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.
The loss, I'm over here, gotta get across. Whether you like it or not, there is a moment meant for us. And now you made it, but I already played this. Not interested, open your eyes, let's get it done. Take my hand, just follow me. Shadow and me are one. Sky is on fire. The lake has turned to a golden sun. Oh, I'll never get tired.
SSG are now 3-0 against the Renegades, and they haven't stopped their momentum since game 1. It's been a continual stomp after stomp after stomp, and now hopefully this go-around, RNG will actually be able to fight back against SSG, use this game to break momentum, and use the rest of the set to be able to try and net themselves a win.
Yeah, for Renegades' sake, they definitely need something here just to grab onto and make the rest of this set feel a little bit better for them for sure. But I got to say, from SSG, I like we don't really see a lot of Xin from them, at least into the rework to him. I like the flexibility that they showed putting Ares on that character, and just the way that they kind of played their aggression. They weren't super all in a lot of situations, just kind of waiting for their chance to strike, which they kind of had to because there's a lot of sustain on the side of RNG, but they made it work. Good damage across the board. I think their lowest damager was higher. Well, not disregarding supports, of course.
Right.
Their lowest damager was higher than Renegade's highest damager.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mitao, dude, like 4-0-13, Freeze God 8-1, Sadak 4-2, 4-1 for Rachao, 5-3 for Ares. But I mean, there's only one person that's undying on their team, and it's Mitao. That's not a disrespect or like trying to talk bad about the other members of SSG.
No,
Everyone did really, really well.
They just owned.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's the whole point, is that together as a unit, they were able to pretty much take this momentum throughout the previous sets and push forward. Mitao literally didn't die.
Yeah, he was doing a great job on the Genos, kiting around, giving out the heals on Genos to this team, which he can do in complete total safety, more or less, kind of just unpressured by the team right now. He had that amazing play, I think, in the middle of it with the through time and space onto the Dumba, following up 2 kills immediately after. Also walking away with very little HP. And again, SSG having fun with it. And this is when they play the best. And they have the stream open, as we can see with the reflection.
Yeah, we can see it
in the mirror. I wonder if they can hear me.
I don't know. Can they?
It looks like it. Looks like, look,
oh, yeah, okay.
Probably time to stop. Probably time to start
guys.
bad-mouthing them anyway. But yeah, so Mitao, I think, played fantastic that game on that Genos, being able to kite around and stay alive. Fantastic play there earlier. Also, barely, he survived with like 30 HP.
Yeah.
When he was running away from Hero at that last moment,
Right.
getting that kill onto Moon. That was great by them on SSG. Loved the composition. Also, one thing I want to note before we head into the next map,
Right.
there was kind of a cool build that Ares had. I was a little worried about what he was doing, but I realized after watching it for a little bit, 50% below speed, 30% movement speed after counter, and he bought Nimble. I don't think he realizes how they stack. I don't think he realizes the level of diminishing returns, but that's a lot of speed, and I think he's trying to make Billow effective again. After the nerfs to the duration, people kind of saw it as a throwaway ability, but all that speed combining together was actually letting him get out of situations he wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, you got the speed in game. You got the speed of momentum as well. We'll have to see what the next map is going to be, what could potentially be RNG's chance, well, their last chance to try and break momentum here. This is their map pick once again. It's going to be Stonekeep, and I'm a little bit worried about this because of how well SSG have been playing so far. I mean, it was a 4-3 first, then it was just 4-0s, and Stonekeep is a map that you definitely have to fight back on.
Yeah, I mean, Renegades have shown success on this map in the past, so this is it's smart, I think, for them to go here. I think it's a pretty balanced map, and Renegades do not want to play against that level of Genos play again, immediately banning that first, but that's going to leave a lot of things open on the board for either team to take, but Renegades have first picks, so they're going to have first dibs on whatever is broken, and with that Strix counterban, they've guaranteed that they're going to get at least one power tank.
Yeah, you have Genos, Span, Maeve, Strix, and you are correct. They will be able to at least get one power tank available on SSG's side. Oh, well, not on SSG's side, but Renegade side. It depends on who it is that SSG want to ban, who they don't want them to have. In my opinion, I wouldn't let them have Atlas, just personally.
Which team?
I wouldn't let RNG have Atlas.
You wouldn't let RNG have Atlas.
No.
I mean, I think they just don't ban either, and then they get something and a bonus.
Yeah.
That's probably what it's going to come down to for SSG, and I think they're debating that right now. One other option is this is a cool idea.
I do too.
Renegades
I like
get
it.
one, and then SSG is going to get
other.
Barrack in the other. If Renegades value the point tank that highly, then SSG get both power tanks.
Right.
And that's kind of horrifying. But now, SSG have guaranteed themselves a tank line of Makoa, Barrack, and I would expect to see that almost insta-locked.
Yeah.
And it is almost insta-locked, I think. As fast as the graphic can go, it is being locked in.
I mean, Barrack, Makoa, 110%. You have strong sustainability. You've got the Ancient Rage. You've got Barrack with Dome Shield. You just have the fact that he actually has a lot of movement, surprisingly, for someone who is a point tank. So he has that power. Also, he hits hard, too.
Yeah.
Same thing for Makoa. I mean, this is already pretty scary. Even as Atlas, even as Atlas, it can be a challenge, but you have the Atlas. You can control a lot of those sightlines just off a Divider as well.
Yeah, possibly. It's just going to slow the game down a little bit when that Divider's up if they want to play kind of pokey. Getting a good backline here would be strong if maybe Renegades want to grab the victor now. Not only do they like it, but it's so good into Atlas that just getting it off the field would probably be pretty good. No point tank left, so they're going to have to go with Khan if they want a powerful tank. And Willow is another lock. SSG still have some chances to get a hit scan. This would be an insane place for them to pick Victor to do with that Willow and that Atlas, but still a lot of options open. Could still go Leon, could still go Cassie. So many choices on the board for both teams.
Yeah, Atlas, Willow, Khan, Barrack, Makoa are going to be who SSG still have. I mean, RNG just picked the Willow. They just picked the Khan. So they have a lot of healing denial with that. Willow, once again, is let free in this game, in Game 4. I mean, you still got plenty of opportunities on SSG to be able to round this out to a point to where it'll be hard for RNG to be able to fight back. And you can start that with the Cassie for sure, but it's going to pose a problem for the Khan. I don't think so much as like for the Willow, even though she is more grounded. I mean, tell me a little bit about like, I mean, clearly it's going to be able to beat the Khan.
I think they take it to take it away from my Renegades to
that makes
counter
sense.
the Makoa.
That makes sense.
That's a big part of it. Also, if you mark Atlas with big game and then he uses second chance, the mark remains on him after the rewind. So just having that also pretty powerful against the other side, and potentially triple tank for Renegades. Probably going to get healed by I was going to say Ying, but Furia makes a little bit of sense as well. Not as worried about the healing, much more worried about using the Inflame to go in. Have to see who is playing what on Renegades, because none of these tanks to me, maybe Khan, but the other two don't really scream tank that a DPS will flex to me. SSG, fantastic response. I was literally going to say, what did NIP ban when they were playing triple tank on Bright Marsh all the time? It was Drogoz, left wide open because Renegades flexed to this as time went on. But with SSG on second pick, they had the counter. They have the Drogoz, probably going to run Worm Jets, or Combustible, I guess.
Either or. With
that effectiveness put into the base kit.
Right.
Now he can use that from pretty safe positions with the Combustible as well. That is a very good draft against triple tank. Almost ideal that a team like Envy would want playing against Nip triple tank that one time that they got that upset earlier in the season. Both teams have a lot of potential here. How good is the flex onto the not super flexible tanks from Renegades going to look like?
I agree with that as well. I mean, Renegades, we'll have to see if this triple front line can actually end up closing this out, giving RNG a chance at life. Will SSG be able to clean 4-0 them? We can only find out once we toss it down to the casters.
Thank you very much, fellas. SSG convincing is maybe an understatement in their first 3 games so far in this set. Looking to close it out here against the Renegades, who have picked themselves up a triple front line to try to grab themselves a win.
It's a good pivot. I don't mind it. We've seen it work earlier today on Timber Mill, albeit, where the tanks aren't quite as important. Makoa doesn't do super well into other frontliners, so I think a good thing for Makoa to just set his goal is to, you know, just peel for the backline, right? Make sure they're gonna handle it. Big game, and Drogoz with the Dragon Punch, they're gonna handle business, man. You just gotta keep them alive long enough. Use that Dredge Anchor, give them a lot of space, let them go to work. You know what Ares, you know what Freeze are capable of. Early hook on a Moonchopper, though. Sadak doesn't want any of that. He's out for blood.
Kind of dropped right down in front of Invocal. Point control to SSG at 42%. For Freeze God to provide just a little bit of poke into that keep side. First blood in this game. Ares onto Moonchopper. Atlas, that's the premier first pick, and you're already without him. But Shadow's able to trade back.
Ares has to be phenomenal this game for sure. He's going to probably have the most damage here unless Freeze pops, right? Big game is just going to be hitting so damn hard on all of these characters. 75% for SSG. They have just had control of the objective the entire set, dude. It doesn't matter. Good on Rochelle for making sure he's... And look at that, even providing some peel, right? Not letting this Ashe get to the back line for free.
Drops right on down. That's going to give Renegades a little bit of space. Sadak has to shell spin out. Oh, Shadow, one last shot, gets the kill. That's an advantage for the Renegades. We'll see if they can press it throughout the rest of this mid-fight. Ziggs flying above for Space Station Gaming. Big old stasis field. Crosses the map. Fae Flight for the Renegades. And with Rochelle going down, Nick, looks like the Renegades may be able to strike first.
Should be good. Dragon Punch. Not sure who he's got a sight set on. Kills one tank. Sorry, bud. There's 2 more. No ancient range either. Getting close on the Dread Serpent. Here it comes from downtown. Can that give SSG a chance?
They're going to spread out just a little bit, but Freeze God, a couple too many shots from Hero. Rochelle gets down on it. We've seen this one time to end the game. Long range overpower. Ooh. Say, pulled Ares into... I guess you can contest if you're in an overpower. Not that it would have mattered, but if you are overpowered, so, would you be contesting?
I think you can.
Didn't make any difference in this world, though. Renegades grabbed themselves their first point, and that is convincing fashion as SSG have been doing it.
5-0 for Shadow. Obviously the only damage dealer on this composition. That could be a good goal for Sadak as well. Get to the back line, deal with this butterfly, clip her wings, land these hooks, use your Ancient Rage. It's a factor in later rounds. you know, these triple front lines typically will fall off later in the game. They rely a lot on their mitigation. Nice. Atlas's mitigation does not fall off. So stasis field is stasis field from minute 1 to minute 25. It doesn't matter. It functions just the same. So hopefully the Renegades can use what they've got. And again, I don't think Freeze is going to be able to do a ton here, right? He still has to worry about Atlas. He still has to worry about Khan if they're controlling the keep, which they should be most of the game. Renegades, if nothing else, will be able to control the map with these 3 front lines. Both of those guys having decent range, hit scan pressure. Freeze is going to be getting chipped at the entire game long. Again, I think it's Ares that has to kind of carry this one for SSG.
Ares a moment ago hit a good volley of shots onto Shadow. In Flame, burning bright for the Renegades, and Vocal drops down the Assert Dominance. A good-looking team fight here from RNG. There's plenty of space for Spacestation to come back. They have some ultimates of their own. Dome Shield could be used to contest, and a Dragon Punch as well could tilt things back to their side.
Not a lot of time to do it, not a lot of time or ultimates, really. The Renegades using some resources to get themselves in the position that they are now, albeit they are kind of striking distance. One more clean win, and SSG are going to find themselves down 2 points. This is what I'm talking about, though. The second he sticks his head out, even at a decent range, Freeze is under pressure.
They're using everything, SSG. Dread Serpent, Dome Shield, both used. Freeze God finally gets a kill for his troubles. Down underneath is the Atlas, looming large for Moonchopper. Hero on the Khan gets the kill. Freeze God flying on in, swoops down and underneath.
No!
Pops Moonchopper in the jaw, might have to drop down to contest. Kills are all blue, but Ares now is back in the fight. He jumps down, and Hero trying to battle shout to stay alive.
What a show. Just buys enough time for Rashout to get in there. Still has plenty of cooldowns left to work with. Overpower misses, and the turtle goes in.
And Sadak is back for one more fight. Reinforcements for the Renegades are here. Ultimate still getting charged, just a battle down on the payload. And the Renegades come out on top.
What a start for the Renegades. New life on Stone Keep. They are not out of this one yet. The triple front line as well, very uncommon to see from them. And Vocal normally playing that hyper carry role. Finds himself on the Ashe, one of the, frankly, lower damaging front lines in the roster.
Yep.
He used a decent amount to get there, but that is cool. If on the Renegades, you got to go in. You got to go hard. You got to get this 4-0 at best, 4-2, hopefully at worst. These rockets from Freeze God are just going to hit harder and harder, crack those shields sooner and sooner. Same with Ares' bolts. His healing ain't going to be as good. These temporal divides need to be very on point for Moonchopper. That will be their only source of relief, their only source of mitigation that doesn't fall off. So to use it to give you a second to heal up, for those cots to fall off, whatever it is. He's got to find a really, really good uses for them.
I'd argue they have been pretty good throughout this game. Another good one is going to kind of divide the fight, but the Renegades are going to cross that line. Fae Flight for Shadow. He's been great so far here. He's going to set up a kill for Invocal. As he drops down, plugs a few shots into Rashao. One more time, the team fight from the Renegades seems to buy them a win.
SSG really just have the Ancient Rage. Not a lot else to work with. Already moving north of 50% are the Renegades. 76% on Dome Shield, 71 on Dread Serpent, 85 and climbing on Dragon Punch. A couple of things. Exiled mid-hook. That's a weird interaction you don't see every day. Exiled again. Sadak just can't play the game.
Shadow is controlling the space so well. Objective captured for the Renegades. And after not getting a single point for 2 games straight, the Renegades have a chance to 4-0 SSG here on Stone Keep. Ancient Rage finally used from Sadak. Maybe get some damage, but that's about it. And Hero looks to keep this party going.
The Makoa is just not getting value, man. The Renegades are doing such a good job playing around this character, controlling it. Double exile it, then commanders grab it, right? He just can't do anything. He feels like he can't play the game straight up. And this is supposed to be your power tank. This is why I think pivoting in a triple front line after you give Makoa up is not a bad move. Yeah. Even with Drogos, even with big game Cassie, the Renegades are looking just fine against SSG, who in theory, on paper, have exactly what they need to deal with tanks.
And we saw that today in the NIP matchup against Virtus Pro, where it's like triple tank and Victor on Timber Mill, and then there was a Cassie, and we're thinking, oh, that's the perfect tool to deal with it. while there is some, respite here for SSG, the perfect Cassie counter pick didn't really come to fruition that game, and
look at the fire spit. It just got stuck
in the wall. Renegades now back spawning, a minute left, trying to buy themselves some ground, and SSG, this would set up a potential tying cap and push for them if they were able to convert this defense.
Let's take a look at the items here, see where the wreckers. The cauterize is a little bit less of a factor for SSG. Aries moving into wrecker now. Freeze elected to kind of divert into cauterize. Once he dies, though, he's got a lot of money to spend. And I think it's safe to say SSG are still behind the curve in terms of their item power. You really don't start feeling the effects of the offensive items until you reach that tier 2 wrecker, that tier 2 cauterize. Then it feels like, okay, I can kill this guy through some healing. I can kill this shield in half a clip instead of a clip and a half.
Freeze has got his second wrecker waiting for him back in base, whenever that may be. 15 seconds left on this payload. Couple ultimates ready for the Renegades, should they choose to use them. But you realize that you've got plenty of time, plenty of points to try to capture one last one, but SSG have been stingy the last couple of games about giving up points, but not the same case here on Stone Keep.
I don't know about all that. It looked like they had Invocal against the ropes, but Sadak hesitates and allows Invocal to live. Shadow gets the opening kill. It's going to be a long push in overtime, but the Renegades may have just given themselves a chance.
SSG all the way back, give up a good bit of ground here. Let's get around the corner, have Sadak just waiting. They know Moonchopper's beneath them, but who do you try to connect onto? Freeze got caught out by the overpower. Sadak sets up a kill onto Shadow. Blaster for Blaster. Stasis field back just a little bit, booped off of the map, and Vocal finds the shot onto Aries. These kills have been getting traded, and that's going to be in the favor of SSG, but one more in flame. That keeps the Renegades in the fight.
Wow, great Dread Serpent from distance there. Rashal's got a nice angle on the backside of this fight. If nothing else, he's being a great distraction. The control from Rashal, the fears, the stuns, it's enough to lock down the defense.
The Dome Shield used at the last possible moment there from Rashal.
Yeah. They got to stay in the game, bro. They really can't.
I mean, you had to. I guess you're right. If there's any chance that you lose, you got to drop the Dome Shield there. Finally, SSG get themselves on the board on Stone Keep. A little bit better showing from the Drogos. I think he hit the last direct shot there onto Invocal.
Something to remember me by, kid.
They're going to need him and Aries in this last mid-fight to crank things up. It's hard to say when Freeze is 11-3. And hard to say when Aries, despite being 6-9, is second damage in the game. But Rashal, Sadak, the front lines for SSG have just not had a good time this game.
Caught 3, Wrecker 2 for Freeze. Caught 2, Wrecker 2 for Aries. Wrecker 2 for Rashal as well. Wrecker 1 for Sadak. They got a lot of shielding to get through. But that damn temporal divide, man, it's just as strong as it was at the opening bell. And it's still doing a great job cutting these team fights. Way to thread the needle there, Sadak.
He's not able to flutter away from that one. Swinging away now. Vocal on the Ash. Sadak, big value out of the Ancient Rage. And another great hook pulls in Hero. Freeze God makes good. SSG zoning for their second point.
It's just that simple. I mean, you shut down Willow. There's not a lot can do to you outside of that. Shadow's diving in. Freeze takes him out mid-air to keep his support safe.
93%. This is going to be it for point number 2 for SSG. The script has been flipped. Mid-fight for the red team. They could tie this game as one-sided as it's been. Renegades didn't finish it off maybe when they had the chance.
It comes down to that big boy play from Sadak. I mean, he really hadn't done a lot this game. We're just watching him get tossed around, exiled, commander's grab, flipped, knockbacked, and pushed, and it's just bullied outright. And it wasn't until that really threaded the needle hook, threading the needle shot from Rashal as well. Huge Ancient Rage gets off to the back line. There's no cooldowns. You see him basically 100-0 Shadow and then 100-0 Invocal with it. Incredibly valuable Ancient Rage there from Sadak. And the game, the fight's over at that point. That is an unlosable fight after that play from Sadak.
The Renegades hope the same can be said about this in Flame. But if nothing else, as the wings disappear, that maybe pushed SSG back a little bit, but too much value, kept him in the fight. Good fire spit from Freeze Goddess, poking down Invocal into the shoulder bash. He's able to stay alive. Another Fae Flight from Shadow. This needs to find some value, especially if SSG are going to be able to push it. Does, and then back behind the stasis field to stay alive. Not sure the last shot was there, but it did protect him nonetheless. They've used the Inflame. Granted, it's already at about 70%. Fae Flight as well from the Renegades with a minute left.
Yeah, that's a great temporal divide there by Moonchopper as well. To keep his boy safe up in the sky. Knowledge of like the angles and how you can use that, how high it is, how wide it is, where you will reach from where you are. It's the most powerful non-cooldown or non-ultimate cooldown in the game. Using it well is imperative if you're going to get value for that first pick.
Couple trades here for SSG. Ares looking to do some damage to these EV tanks of the Renegades, but 2 of them are dead right now. Moonchopper has to go into the second chance. That's a big cooldown to lose now. If you're an Atlas, Rochelle grabs the kill. Massive salvo into the backline of the Renegades. They just need to stall out for 15 more seconds. Ares maybe didn't expect Invocal around the corner. Invocal grabs the kill.
Crushed him on the opener there. 6 seconds remain. Still some ultimates for SSG to use. I don't know how hard you want to go for this, though, Dave.
True.
You don't want to leave yourself high and dry should you fail. Even if you succeed, you don't want to leave yourself high and dry. But Dave, what if I told you you could invest nothing today, 0% down, 0% APR for 36 months, no financing necessary, and you'll get this conversion all for free?
I would take you up on that deal, and I think SSG would as well. Sadak still has a big old crack in one of his lenses, but apparently can see a good Ancient Rage regardless. Let's set up this mid-fight.
8 swings later.
They got the pick. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess, well, I don't want to, tilt things one way or the other, but you're the Renegades. You lose in 7 points in game 1, don't get a single point in 2 and 3, and then potentially drop a 3-point lead here on Stone Keep. That'd be a tough one to swallow, but that's the reality we're faced with here as SSG make their way towards the mid.
Morale boost 3 here for Viral. He's the only ultimate not up, but he'll be there very quickly.
Try to do it again.
Quick hook. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, baby. Pops the Ancient Rage and goes to work.
Sir Dominance down. No kills from the Ancient Rage this time. Invocal zoning out with the up-down. Viral and Shadow grab a couple of kills. Fae Flight finds some value. That's not a fight Sadak is going to win. For the cheeky hook, but the Renegades grab themselves some kills. Take back control. Dread Serpent, Dragon Punch, Dome Shield, all that's left.
Looking for the Exiles as well. Moonchopper taking a lot of damage. The windup and the pitch ripping through. Finds Invocal. That's a good way to get it started.
Not able to get him out of that one. Rochelle trying to move forward. 90% could be a big setback, but Dread Serpent onto the point is going to delay out this fight. Moonchopper nearly gets the kill onto Ares, but instead Ares wins the day. Sadak a big kill. SSG pull this one back. It's a Inflame versus a Dome Shield for the game.
66% on Fae Flight. Another big cooldown here. If I'm SSG, I'm worried about crumbling on my zone like the Renegades did. That's what let them back in. Here's the Inflame, the windup, and the pitch. Can the Renegades knock it out of the park?
They're still losing so much health on that banana side. Freeze got a big zone. They're leaving the point, actually, SSG. They might just want to win this fight and then go back. It's Freeze God who's down low, contesting. Big hook down to the low ground. Ares gets the kill, so does Sadak. 2 for the Cassie. Make it 3 for Ares. The ball is dropped in SSG. They catch it, they lay it up, and it goes in.
Oh, no, man. After what was such a dominant start, the turnaround moment, I wanted...
Don't show the booth,
I wanted
please.
Ares to come through in a big way. Gets a lot of damage, but dies a lot. Freeze, I think, has an outstanding KD. But the impact player of the game for me is Sadak. He was the one that made it happen. He turned this game around for SSG.
Frustration. Viral. Little headset toss there. I mean, it's frustrating. You go to 7 points in 2 of your games. Don't come away with a single win. I know these guys want it. You see them after every single game. You know, if they have the first game of the day and they lose, they're right back in the team rooms here scrimming. They want it. It's close, but they drop another one here in 4-0 fashion to SSG. To pivot to maybe a happier note, SSG are looking good.
Yeah, man, that was a dominant set. Ice Mines was close. Stone Keep was very close as well. I think both teams showing resilience on the maps that were actually contested.
Right.
Not a lot of life in the middle portion of this set, but ultimately, man, that's a tough one for the Renegades. It's not easy to be last place. It's not easy to kind of lose. And this has been, unfortunately, the Renegade story. It's easier to shrug off those 4-0s than it is the reverse comeback after being up 3-0.
Right. I mean, for better or worse, they have nothing to gain or lose here standings-wise. And we'll see the standings at the end of the day. That might have been their last game of this split. At any rate, only 1 or 2 more for them. That's it, though, for this PPL Friday. And we'll go back to the desk to wrap things up.
Thanks so much down there for the Casters booth, guys. SSG 4-0 in a very, very dominant fashion. Definitely a come up from how they played RNG last time. Once again, Kresnik, I mean, they lost last time to RNG. This definitely speaks volumes about their progress throughout the split.
Yeah, I mean, coming back from that massive rate they took before and now able to have this pretty, I mean, I was about to say one-sided, but that last game was pretty sided to RNG most of the time. SSG managed to get their conversion. That last mid-fight was so close. But in the end, SSG managed to pull it out, kind of sustain against the triple tank. I said they had the dream draft, and it looked tough at the start. Good performances across the board from Renegades, Shadow especially as the solo DPS. But Spacestation just managed to pull it out.
I guess that's...
They had the objective in their eyes.
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess that's just the fall off of triple frontline. I mean, we've talked about it before in volumes and droves when it was picked out a lot. It was the fact that having this triple frontline, that's sick, that's good. They did good in the beginning, but when it started scaling up, it became more and more of an issue. SSG side, 8-11, 11-11, 18, 2-3, 27. I mean, the slash lines are good. 9-11, 17, 18-4, and 14. Just overall good.
Even though 18-4 was on Frieza's side, I feel like Sadak had a massive impact on this Makoa. You have to perform to make it work, and this was that last second touch. Rishao gets rewound, and someone else has to replace him at the last moment. Sadak is already there, already moving in, gets the kill onto Hero, and moves forward for this aggressive zone that they need. And this, I think, was that very, very forward kill that he got. Great hook around the corner, more or less. Since it forced out the Flutter, the DR means he has to use Ancient Rage, but able to put on so much pressure after it. I think great performance from the Makoa. You have to have a play like this to make picking Makoa worth it at all.
Yeah, I mean, and smart on them that they were even able to get the Makoa based off of the bans they had. I mean, like we were saying when we were in the draft phase, they get one power tank, we get the other. The Makoa definitely worked out for them as well. And I'm excited to see how SSG are going to continue carrying on, not necessarily their hot streak, but seeing how they're going to be able to do and grow as time goes on.
Yeah, and we've already seen them. They have high highs and low lows. We're gonna have to see how things go after this. I think sometime next week, I believe their final match of the season is NIP, so that's gonna be kind of a vibe check for them, I guess, to see how they've been doing. We'll see what they change from now to then if they study NIP. If NIP studies them, that should be going when we get to it.
Right, exactly. I mean, we're gonna throw it to a quick interview with SSG for both Sadak and Aries. Standing by.
All right, guys, we're down here with Sadak and Aries, a big 4-0 win. 1-4, a little bit closer than the middle two. Talk to me about Stone Keep, Sadak. A rough start to the game on the Makoa, but after going down 3 points, you turn it around, you guys win the game. What changed?
We just adapted. We didn't know what to expect. The Fury ult plus the Atlas shields is really stupid, so after we adapted that, it was all better. Yes.
That's a kind of smooth sailing through the middle sections of that game. Aries, you pulled out the Xin on Jaguar Falls. Things were looking and feeling very good on maps 2 and 3. Is that kind of the way you guys expected this one to go against the Renegades? And what do you do after a very close game 1 to turn it around to really speed through maps 2 and maps 3?
I guess it's like to more comfortable maps, you know, and we didn't expect like to be like so smooth because we always have trouble against Renegades, so we're not like we're staying humble this time, and then we just have a pretty good games.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, and obviously neither of you being the support players, but as frontline players, you kind of maybe feel the effect of this on Ice Mine, Sadak, all this kind of like dismount meta through the gate.
So annoying. That's the worst thing that happens since,
how
I don't
big
know,
of a difference does it
since
make
Imani.
if you can break through undismounted versus if you get dismounted?
It's a really huge difference. It's mostly because the high ground you get, or the grounds you get.
Yeah.
For example, I don't know, with Khan, it's really important to get that middle section into the middle section. And if you don't, I don't know, if you don't dismount him, he can get really easily, and it's really annoying.
Aries, that last overpower on Ice Mines that you actually managed to survive, were you planning on living that?
He was like, kill him! Oh my god, kill him!
I was just like,
Is that calculated?
I was tapping F like.
Oh, I think the real tragedy here is Aries has his movement ability bound to F, folks. Left shift till I die. A great set, I think, to be sure, guys. That's, you know, one I want to congratulate you for, you know, tough games on the first and the fourth map, but overall, smooth sailing for SSG here. Congrats on the win and enjoy your weekend. Folks, we're going to get it right back up to the desk and close out the show.
Congratulations once again to SSG. Such a good performance from them. I'm really, really glad they were actually able to steadily make their climb back up, or at least show that they're still learning things about how to get adjusted to this meta, so on and so forth. But it's just been good watching them.
You know, I don't know what Nick was talking about. Shift is the alt key.
Oh, really?
Well, that's my alt key.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. I don't know what he's talking about. Shift is not the. I use E. E and Shift. E for movement, Shift for alt. I think that's optimal. It's big button for big ability, right?
All right.
Plug in a foot pedal sometimes if I want to use that. But still, great games today. I think all in all across the board, good performances by who was performing well. I mean, VP Na'Vi, that felt like it was much closer than a 4-1 with how the maps were going, I think, all through it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, 4-1, not as sincere. That set was absolutely amazing. I had a wonderful time casting that one. 4-1 for NIP versus Kang. Another good set. SSG closing it out with a clean 4-0 against the Renegades. I mean, it was a good set. I mean, there were some good games today. I had a lot of fun, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think the standings are really shifted too much. Don't think have that much room left to shift. Just some matchups maybe that will change. The 4 teams, as we know, are already qualified in Na'Vi, NIP, Envy, and VP. The top teams, top 2, I guess, just kind of separating themselves even further from the pack. You can see that big gap. You can see the gaps, really. It's top 2, then the next 2, and then a big negative map score after that. But all these teams are so close and are constantly able to take maps off of each other.
Right. I mean, you still have Nanas Vincere at number 1, second being NIP, third being Envy, fourth Virtus Pro, and then so on and so forth. SSG are now in the 5th spot right there. It's unfortunate for them, but of course, if we continue to see the progress it is that they've been making, I wouldn't be surprised for them to take off some games against the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, SSG grinding through the qualifiers. We've seen success with that, right, in general. But qualifiers aren't quite yet. We have the last week of PPL coming up next week.
The last week of PPL, guys, is it. We're going to have
this season.
a 2-day, it's 2-game day for day 1, which is Thursday. Friday is going to be 3 games. Once again, we'll have a pretty big schedule right there. We have NIP versus SSG, Team Envy versus PK, NIP versus SSG. I'm really excited for Envy versus PK for sure. We have Virtus Pro, Kanga, Nadas Vincere, NIP, VP, and Team Envy. Nadas Vincere, NIP, Virtus Pro, Envy. Oh, boy.
All of these matches are sick.
That's what I'm saying.
There's not a single match next week that I'm not actually excited for.
This is literally, I feel like this is going to be the sickest week of PPL for sure, for this phase.
This is like the proving grounds for the qualifiers too, and
yeah.
The teams that are moving in, right? Minor seeding changes can happen depending on wins and losses, but it's really coming down to this. These teams are all performing so well.
Right.
Next week's going to be sick.
Yeah, next week's going to be absolutely sick. I'm super excited for it. But, of course, that's all we have for you guys today. It's been a long Thursday, a long Friday, but we still love all the games it is that we've ended up seeing. I'm Fawn. This was Kresnik. We'll see you guys. On Monday, same time as always. Bye, guys.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
Players are here, the stage is set. Let's get down for esports!
This is where we also talk about the new stuff that we've got coming out for you all.
Look, HRX is literally my favorite time of year. It truly isn't close. This is what I live for.
It's that second place. I can't wait to see what first place is.
It is HRX.
tambourine. Bring the bass, we might be weak.